in March, I decided to go away for just a very few days, unknown to anybody. I planned to join a friend over a weekend for a period of a couple of days rest in Puerto Rico. The plane, a Pan American Airlines plane, left Miami. There were storms, and I remember a great deal of wind and a great deal of cloud formations and flying above the rain. The plane did go off its normal airlane course. About 3:30, 3:15 in the morning, an hour and 10 minutes out of San Juan, Puerto Rico, to the left of the, and I was sitting at a window, and I was reclining, trying to sleep, but was not asleep. So this gave, though the windows are small, this gave a complete vista over the wing of the plane, because I was leaning back. A solid-looking, luminous, large object with a greenish core to it, very bright, very large, moving at a fantastic speed. I don't know how fast it was going. I'm not capable of judging it. I don't know how fast the plane was going. It looked as though it were going to hit the plane exactly. The next moment, the pilot veered his plane, that is, he rose quite steeply. Many of the passengers were knocked into the, I would say all but 2 or 3 passengers were knocked into the aisle. Their safety belts were not on. There had been, of course, no indication that anything was going to happen. And, of course, many people were thrown into the aisle. I know, as an aftermath, the stewardess and 2 passengers, the Gitlos of Brooklyn, were hospitalized and treated for shock and injuries. The object made, and this was the unusual thing, at least from what I've heard and read of unidentified flying objects, the object made a tremendous amount of noise. Now, whether I think it was from the object, I don't believe it was from our plane, but it made a roaring, tremendous roaring sound. But the interesting observation, and all of this happened in a second, and you're amazed how many things one can observe in a second. The object, though it appeared to be on a dead collision course with the plane, exactly veered away from the plane, changed its direction, went up, leveled off, and then went back. This is what we saw. Almost every passenger saw this. Of course, there was great hysteria and great shock. Upon landing, and I say the airline officials were extremely nice, most hospitable, and interested in the welfare of the passengers. About an hour after arrival, the passengers were told, and I'll repeat this, the passengers on the plane were told that the airlines regretted this almost mishap caused by a meteor, whereupon 1 or 2 passengers remarked immediately, well, this wasn't a meteor, and how do you know it was a meteor, and how can you assume it was a meteor? Again, the statement was repeated. We regret this almost mishap due to the, and they said they had no control over the meteor, which almost hit the plane. Well, I again repeat, I have no scientific background, but I've never known of a meteor to come at an airplane, almost hit it, change course, go up, rise above the plane, level off to see, as I imagine, it went up as the plane went up. It came towards the plane, veered out, and rose as the plane rose in its bank, leveled off, and then reversed its direction. Now, I have never seen, and I defy any astronomer or any man who is adept in the studies of meteors to tell me that a meteor would react like this. The object was not incandescent. It was not burning. It was not gaseous. There were not darts and tongues of flames leaping about it. It was a solid object. I did not have wings. There were no propellers that I could see, of course. This was quite sudden. It was more like it wasn't saucer-shaped. It was more like a soup bowl placed on a saucer. It was quite bright, with a steady glow, and it seemed to have a core of green on it. But if an object were going at a straight line, in a straight line, and about on a collision course with an object crossing that line, and the object about to cross it veered up, the object would continue its straight course and pass underneath, would it not, the body. This did not. This reversed and almost backtracked its entire movement the moment it came within range of the plane. And I must say, again, and I repeat, it was not a clear night. And there had been conflicting stories that the plane was on its normal course. It was not on its normal course. The Newark papers said one, the New York Times, for example, I think every paper covered it. They all had pointed out the pilot was off the normal airline course. I must also say that the 7 other planes in the vicinity saw the same object that night, and they all radioed into the field at San Juan, because commercial pilots have orders from their airlines that a moment an UFO is sighted, that it is to be radioed into the field immediately. 7 pilots on different commercial passenger airlines, not Army airlines, the Air Force, saw the same UFO, and the pilots, in talking to one another, have all confirmed that they saw an unidentified flying object, that they didn't know what it was. Immediately, pressure was put on the government base in San Juan to know just what in the devil missiles were doing out, or jet planes were doing in the commercial air lanes, and the government in San Juan, and the government later here in the United States, immediately denied that there were any runaway missiles, number one, and number two, that any jets were anywhere near the commercial lanes at that time.